Welcome to Mainland, your local regional television station. I'm Tanya Omar, and some of the stories coming up in today's news. Light Nelson, bigger than before. Call out to aid young woman. Innovation to generate region's businesses, and more. 4 police cars and an ambulance responded to a call out at the Ruby Bay McKee Domain camping ground on Monday afternoon, where a young woman was given medical care. She was accompanied by a concerned friend, and the young woman was assessed by the medics at the scene while police offered assistance. No one else was involved in the incident. When a person's research goes from mere words on paper to action, it must be very satisfying, especially when that action is Nelson City Council reviewing their codes of conduct. Massey University's Dr. Catherine Strong's research paper, The Dangerous Paragraph, put a spotlight on an inserted paragraph in the Nelson City Council Codes of Conduct that could effectively gag elected representatives from speaking openly and diminishing free speech. Dr. Strong, along with Mainland TV, highlighted the discrepancy of the paragraph to Nelson City Council and called for change. We spoke with Dr. Strong on her response to the now turnaround of City Council. So Catherine, the Nelson City Council have done a turnaround from your work. So how does this make you feel that your work has had an impact?
I'm impressed with the Nelson City Council that when concerns about the wording on it was brought to their attention, they actually stopped and had a look at it. So they are going to re-look at it and decide whether, in light of more analysis on the actual terminology, whether it's the right thing to do. And that's a very mature thing for them to do. And I think for the mayor, my hat off to her, for actually taking this on board, reading the whole report, and realizing that this needed scrutiny.
And what other councils have responded?
Well, that's the interesting thing, is that most of them have said, yes, we will look at it sometime in the future. It's in the too hard basket. And that's why Nelson City Council is now a beacon of looking at making sure that when it comes to freedoms, that they're looking at it. The other councils have basically said, yeah, that we probably didn't mean that wording, or we don't even know how it got in there, but we'll look at it sometime. Because it's not that significant to them. It doesn't get them votes. It's not going to increase rates. It doesn't, on a day-to-day basis, it's not particularly important. But from a democracy basis, it's vital.
So, just a personal opinion, why do you think Nelson City Council responded?
I'm not exactly sure, and I cannot get inside their heads, but it was obviously by the mayor. The mayor, I sent the same information to all the councils, and she's the one who said, can I see the whole paper, your whole academic paper? I'd like to get a real good grip on this. So she actually understood the underlying principles and foundations that go into making sure that your code of conduct doesn't hamstring the media and your elected officials in any way. She took the time to understand.
Well done, Catherine, and thank you for your work. We have links to Dr. Strong's research paper on our Facebook page. Light Nelson is the city's biannual Winter Light Festival event and is looking at being bigger and brighter than even the organisers expected. The upcoming festival will be the 3rd time Nelson has produced the community-focused Free Festival of Light. Originally, organisers set out with 40 installations, but that number has now increased to 61, with many groups including NMIT Arts and Media students and internationally known invited artists Daniel Belton and John Baxter, who are both presenting 2 huge works, with John's digital work on illuminating the front and side of the historic technical school building, while Daniel's work will screen on the west wall of the NMIT library. The Kayang community are busy stitching LED lights into the ceremonial banners they have woven with help from the community. Added to that, a Māori creation story told in laser illustrations by Nelson Intermediate kids. From schools through to community groups, this year's event is promising to be a real highlight in the winter calendar, with an increase in nights. The area will encompass the Queen's Gardens as in previous years, but will also be making use of the NMIT campus, while closing off part of Hardy Street to create a hub with food stalls, while offering maps at the Light Nelson Info Hub to show the way through the one-way system through the installations, which will also be delivered to all homes with the City Council's next newsletter, while being available on Council's website. As the Light Nelson project has been a collaboration of many community groups in the city, our local museum is taking an active part in the event. I spoke to CEO of Nelson Provincial Museum, Lucinda Blackley-Jimson, about this. So Lucinda, you suggested we stand by these bathing togs here and we're going to be talking about Light Nelson event. What on earth has this kind of got to do with Light Nelson?
Right, there is a reason. Now, we're working with an artist, Vicky Smith, who's doing an installation in our Hardy Street windows for the Light Nelson Festival. And she's doing a project called Finding Lucinda Fairweather. Now, Finding Lucinda Fairweather is a story that Vicky has created, and it's going to be taking place around the city, around Nelson. We're one of the stops on its journey, and it tells the story of Lucinda Fairweather, who was a swimmer at the Tepid Pool, which is our tie-in to some of our old artefacts from that. So it's going to be a really interesting installation. It's going to be on for the week of Light Nelson, first week of July, but then we'll also be holding it for the rest of the month of July, because it's going to be really special and really intriguing.
Is there any other way the museum is taking part in Light Nelson?
That's our primary focus this year, as being the host for one of the artists, but we're obviously incredibly keen to see what is going on in the community, and there is going to be some outstanding events around Nelson, so I can't wait to get out and experience it.
As locals know, Nelson Winter is renowned for being a season of businesses struggling in our region. Another business blight is our young people leaving the Nelson region for brighter opportunities. So do we accept the status quo? Innovate Nelson's vision is to have a vibrant, thriving business hub that retains, attracts and creates innovative businesses and talented people who drive them without relying on individual events as the draw card. I spoke with Innovate Nelson's acting manager, Jen Stewart.
I think what we're trying to do is sort of create an entrepreneurial ecosystem around Nelson, where we're trying to spark energy and spark new initiatives by putting people in contact with other people they wouldn't necessarily run into in day-to-day life. And on top of that, then we're trying to take the best of what's happening around the world to drive economic growth for regions like ours, bring it into Nelson and put it in the hands of those people, so that we're really creating the conditions that are necessary for innovation to thrive, for new ideas to spring up, and for people, when they have an idea, to be able to easily access the support they need to put those ideas into action. So
sounds an exciting vision. So how's Innovate Nelson kickstarting this?
Right, so we're trying to come up with, I guess, almost a life cycle plan, where we're looking for the gaps that are out there right now at each stage of a business's life cycle, and figuring out what's the best way we can help people get from point A to point B, or point C to point D. So the very beginning step is Startup Weekend, which is a great way to dip your toe in the water or make some connections, learn about the latest business strategies. Next, we have Co-Starters, which is a 9-week business course. And if you're ready to really dig deep into your business idea, or figuring out how to move your business to the next level, then that allows you to really examine each part of your business plan and test it in the market and come up with a real solid strategy for moving forward. And then we have ideas about how to roll on from there. We're only a year old now, so we're looking at things to help businesses that are a little bit further down the track. And as far as just creating a community around entrepreneurism, we have Founder Chat, which Len Schwentner, who started a tech company in Wellington and has shifted down here, is running, where people can just get together once a week and basically problem solve together. So whatever issues you have in your business, you can tap the minds of a whole group of people who are also trying to run their businesses and deal with some of the same challenges.
Well, that sounds really dynamic and exciting because, you know, I've got tertiary age children, and the another thing in Nelson is the young people leave town.
Yeah.
So are they, is secondary education kind of clicking on what you guys are doing and getting behind what you're doing?
The YES scheme, I think, is a really dynamic organization. So the Young Enterprise scheme, they're actually having their Dragon's Den tonight, final judging of their business projects. And I think it's great that we're getting young people started because the world has changed and the business world has changed. You no longer have to be someone in your 30s and 40s with lots of experience and lots of connections to get something going. Pretty much anyone can start a business nowadays. So I'm really excited to see what they're doing. And we have a lot of young people from NMIT who come and take part in our programs, either because they hope to start a business or because they can just see the value to their careers in being able to think the way that a potential employer thinks about their own business. So.
Okay, so Startup Weekend is this weekend. Who should come?
Oh, anyone should come. There's really probably three main categories. People who want to start a business and are not sure how to begin. People who already own a business and are looking for some help in learning how to make a strategic plan for moving their business forward. People who would like to give their career a boost. And I think lastly, anyone who just wants to sort of take part in a fun adventure race without breaking a sweat.
For information on Innovate Nelson's Startup Weekend coming up this weekend, it can be found on their website, innovatenelson.com. Nelson residents can now check real-time air quality in their neighbourhood through environmental monitoring website lawa.org.nz. That's lawa.org.nz. Real-time data is available for Nelson's 4 airsheds: Nelson Centre North, Tahuna Nui, Stoke and Nelson South. LAWA shows the latest hourly and daily data for air pollutant PM10 as well as longer-term seasonal and annual trends. It also details the sources of emissions in each area. Wood burners contribute up to 91% of PM10 emissions in winter months. Other sources of emissions are transport, industrial activity, and natural sources such as dust and pollen. Nelson's air quality is affected by PM10 during the winter because of its geography, sheltered by the surrounding hills from prevailing winds, which allows smoke from fires to build up in still conditions. Councillor Brian McGurk, Chair of the Planning and Regulatory Committee, said that having this data available in real time means that people can monitor the air quality in their own neighbourhood and make informed decisions. The Nelson Marlborough District Health Board and fluoride advocate Dr. Rob Beaglehole have been invited to attend a talk by Professor Paul Connett, who is coming to Nelson to talk facts about fluoridation in water supplies. Paul Connett has put his scientific knowledge to work by helping communities around the world understand the science of controversial issues like incineration and fluoridation. In addition to explaining the dangers of these practices, he offers detailed alternatives. This will be a great opportunity for our Nelson Marlborough District Health Board to hear the risks and why 98% of Europe do not fluoridate their water. Organisers hope that our DHB representatives will accept the invitation to attend the Professor's presentation. Whether you have chosen to believe in the data that supports water fluoridation, or you are unsure what to think, or you agree that to fluoridate your teeth is up to each individual, their family and medicating doctor or dentist, then perhaps you should attend this presentation to find out why the reasons behind fluoridating a population's water supply is not the way to improve dental decay. The presentation by Professor Paul Connett is taking place in Nelson on the 10th of July at 107 Niles Street from 3 p.m. Organisers are also putting a quiz competition together for entrants to win tea with the Professor and there will be another that will be drawn on the day at the presentation, drawn by the professor. The New Zealand Police are warning members of the public to be aware of a phone scam that is currently taking place throughout New Zealand. A number of reports have been received by police across the country from people who have been targeted by the scammers, who claim they are calling from Immigration New Zealand and that they are wanted for tax evasion. They demand payment in the form of Apple iTunes cards, with deportation threatened. Police say the callers are persistent and aggressive and have personal details of the person they are scamming, which could make the call sound genuine. The call may also appear to come from Immigration New Zealand, but it is not. Members of the public should be aware that New Zealand government agencies, such as Immigration or Inland Revenue, will never call, email or text demanding payment or threatening deportation. Banks will never call and ask for online banking passwords. These agencies will also never use money transfer services such as Western Union. Indian nationals living in New Zealand are particularly targeted, while reports of people being targeted in the Tasman area are also emerging. Police are aware of people purchasing $500 and $5,000 worth of iTunes vouchers for the scammers. Police advise that people should hang up immediately. If it doesn't seem to be right, be cautious. Double check details first. Do not pay money to anyone you have never met. Look after your personal details in the same way you would your wallet and other possessions. Your personal details are also very valuable to scammers. They will use your details to take out loans or run up debts if they can. Be aware of common scams. For example, banks, Immigration New Zealand or Inland Revenue never email, call or text customers to ask for money to be sent using money transfer services. If you receive a request like that, it's a scam. After the break, we'll bring you the latest weather update and some events and happenings coming up from around the region.
Why would you want to pay as much as $1,000 for a single bed mattress when you can buy a high quality locally made mattress like this for as little as $220? And a queen size mattress could cost you in excess of $3,000, but at Nelson Beds you could have a mattress like this as low as $425. So why would you go out and spend a fortune on your child's bedroom when you can come to Nelson Beds and buy a complete single mattress and base set, a 7-drawer Scotch chest, a headboard and a 3-drawer bedside cabinet for as little as $979? So call and discuss our custom manufacturing options and local after sales service at Nelson Beds, Nelson's only bedding manufacturer.
Hi there, Julian Toon, Waimea Telecommunications. We install and maintain domestic and commercial satellite TV, UHF Freeview and Mainland TV installations in the Nelson, Tasman regions. We specialise in Panasonic telephone systems and provide communications, Wi-Fi, IT and wiring for internet, fibre, computers and DSL systems. At Waimea Telecommunications, we also provide specialist electronic systems for features such as a security camera you can watch on your TV, visitor alert systems and much more. Improve your security and communication and entertainment today. Call us on Waimea Telecommunications on 021 472297. ytel.co.nz.
We're the team at JCar, right here in Nelson, 120 Hardy Street. Our shop is full of electronic items,
including security alarm systems, electronic components,
solar and power,
electronics, toys,
sound systems, cables and much, much more. JCar.
120 Hardy Street, Nelson.
World War I was a defining period in our history, impacting greatly on the lives of people from the Nelson province. Memories of the First World War is an exhibition which will be displayed in a number of regional venues and is currently on at the Nelson Provincial Museum.
Sit and Be Fit is on at the Victory Community Centre Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. at the Victory Community Church, 238 Upper Vanguard Street. School terms only. Fun while you get fitter, work at your level.
On behalf of the team here at Mainland Television News, thank you for joining us, and we'll bring you the latest news and events from around the region again tomorrow.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.